you think and what you know about the ties between the Russian government and these so-called mercenaries? Because as I understand it, for example, at least some of the wounded were actually sent back to military hospitals in St. Petersburg and Moscow.
Well, David, I think as your lead-in said, it's a very confusing situation. I think the Secretary of Defense has probably got this as right as anybody, where he said, this is just perplexing. And you know, this is what happens in conflict, is you never know what's out there. And I think it's one of the reasons that people need to stay focused on trying to bring an end to this conflict. But this kind of clash between these Russians, whether they were official, non-official, whoever they were, and forces that we are in favor of, forces that we have trained, and perhaps American forces as well, again, I think tells you the conflict is serious, it's dangerous, and it has these implications all through the area.
Well, you know this area terribly well. What are the dangers of this escalating beyond perhaps what either side might want, that is to say Russia or the United States, when we have forces over there that can come up against one another?
Well, that's exactly right. I think so far, both governments have tried their best to try to de-escalate that, and that's probably good. But as you say, if you think about the implications here of, of what's going on there in Syria, you've got Turkish forces and American forces who could possibly come into conflict. You've got the Iranians who continue to stir up this mess. You've got the problems between the United States and Russia, already bad, made worse by this kind of a situation. You have the Israelis knocking down the other day a drone in Syria. They lose an F-16, and all of it goes back to this challenge of trying to end this conflict in Syria. For all these reasons, and if you add to that the terrible humanitarian cost, this is something people ought to be taking a hard look at, because every day there's conflict out there. Just as you say, you can never tell what's going to happen.
Yeah, conflict from all sides, but